Welcome to Wellness Radio with Dr. Jeanette Gallagher as your host. Her show discusses topics of health, wellness, and spirituality and is about discovering your place in this great universe from your cells to the cosmos. Along with her guests in casual conversation, she strives to ask the difficult questions that may be holding you back from a vibrant life and shares new ideas that may inspire you to make a change in your life that you only can see in your dreams. And now, here is Dr. Jeanette Gallagher.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Wellness Radio. This is Dr. Jeanette Gallagher, and it's a pleasure to have you with us here this evening. Tonight we are going to be talking about what is our life story about, what are the hurdles we have gone through, what are the things that we found in our life are, maybe we say, this is too much for me. I don't know how to do it. This is what I'm destined to be doing, and I'll be stuck in this rut for the rest of my life. Perhaps others say, I'm going on an adventure. It's a joyride, my life story. And how can I experience everything that is put in front of me? Many times people will say, my life story has not unfolded as which I thought. Perhaps maybe if we flip the coin, we ask different questions. What has your life shown you? Where has it guided you? What have you learned and what have you experienced? Maybe then all of those things that when secrets and those bump in the night things, those things you were triggered with, perhaps maybe you can turn them around and say, I was graced with this. I honor this part of myself. And I thank in gratitude those others that were along the path with me. That's what we're going to be talking about today with Michael Toledo. His book is Be Limitless Be Love. Michael, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Dr. Jeanette. It's my pleasure. I'm really looking forward to this.
I'm so glad to have you to talk about this today because, you know, sometimes people say their life stories, it was this horrible thing and let me tell you blah, blah, blah. And they get you in a place you're going, oh, I feel so weighted down. But then you say, oh, isn't that awesome? You know, I have this thing, Michael. Even when patients come to me and they say, well, I have cancer and I'm going to be dying, and I'll say, awesome. They freak out. Or people say, I just got a divorce and I don't have anywhere to live. I'll say, awesome. They freak out. It's because you are now in a state of awareness that, what would you like to do next? It's about your next breath. Isn't that what your whole book is about? What is the next breath? What would you like to do next? What would you like to be next? Perhaps?
I totally agree with you. The whole focus of the book is looking at being loving towards yourself and others. And the more that you can do those two things, then the more you're going to see that opportunities are going to open up to you as long as you're, as you just said, in the moment and looking at that. So things that are difficulties or tragedies at the time are actually maybe avenues to go on a new journey.
Right. And don't you think sometimes we have to look at them at the moment in time and experience them, don't you think? Because sometimes people will say, but I don't want to go there. And the answer is, it's going to be okay, you can go there. And then they say, oh, but I didn't want to, it was hard. Perhaps?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that as we live, and I mean, I'm not a real young guy. I'm 67, and I've had some really pretty traumatic things happen to me in my life, probably from the time that my first baby bed, my mother tells me, was a pillow in the top drawer of a 3-drawer dresser, thank you. and then my mother divorced my father when I was 3 plus. One of my first residences, so to speak, was a converted garage and public assistance, and those things, they did nothing but help build character and help me to be able to overcome those things. I never let them stop me.
I think those things are vitally important. And just as you shared, sometimes people say these are really bad. However, once you are through them, once you experience them and you get to the other side and you look at it with a different perspective, you see something different. I know for myself, raising my kids, being divorced, very similar, didn't have anywhere to live, went on public assistance. But my kids learned people can be cruel. People are not nice. Why are they like that? And then they started to ask themselves, why are they like that versus why am I in this negative place? Because they didn't see themselves as a negative place. They saw themselves as serving a purpose and service for others to reflect. Isn't that important too?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I, understand from my own ideal was my role model was my mother, and she was a first generation Mexican American, very had a lot of pride and such, but she swallowed her pride. We didn't know that being on public assistance was a bad thing. It was just kind of it was a norm. And my mother, she always told us this, that she believed in us totally, and she gave us unconditional love. She didn't like what we did sometimes, but she told us this. She told us this, that we could become anything that we wanted to become if we just believed in ourselves and applied ourselves.
Right.
And could I share one other thing, that she then went out and she actually showed us what she was talking about. She worked herself off of public assistance. She was involved in the community and with the housing authority. She actually sued them, got to meet the gentleman with legal services of Kansas. And then in 1979, she was nominated to and accepted to be on the board of directors of the National Legal Services Corporation. She has her picture with Jimmy Carter, and the chairman of that board was Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
So she lived that, and so I took that in, and I have not let obstacles defeat me. So.
Yeah. It's definitely important, I think, because when you look at it, you say, what have you come through? I know for myself with the kids, if you look back at history, though, Michael, back in the 70s and 80s, there were no support systems for women who had gotten divorced and had kids. There were very few places you could go and get help. Pretty much assistance was the only place you could go. And many times it was very difficult to even get it then. But I distinctly remember it because, yes, a lot of people had a lot of negative comments. However, we just kind of went through it. And like you said, you kind of thought your life was okay. I know with my kids, for Christmas, they would always get one box of cereal that was like that sugary cereal. It could be like Lucky Charms or Fruit Loops or something. And they thought it was such a treat because we never had it. I would never buy that stuff before, and we never had the money to, and I never wasted it on that. But they would get this one box of cereal. And I can distinctly remember one of my kids had said to me in later decades that they were telling their friends about it, and their friend says, gosh, you're so poor. And my child's response was, we were not poor. We had everything that my mother could give us, and what she did, this was a treat. This was something just to be able to have us as a memory that we were all going to be okay. And, I think that's very different. Everybody's lives are different. Some people have it life easy. Some people have it harder. Some go through things. Some people don't. The difference is that we all share our stories, and that's what your book is all about, Be Limitless, Be Love. It's all about stories of people and how they progress through their life. That's the important part. Share your story, whatever it is, yes?
Oh, yeah, definitely. This talks about the underlying needs that we all have as human beings. It doesn't matter your ethnicity or race or economic status. We all have these needs for family, needs for love, needs for respect. And so that's what the stories are, trying to appeal to that inner aspect of us, and then the person will find their way.
Right.
I think that's the major emphasis of each of those stories.
What I loved about your book, too, the very first story, what I really loved about it when she was talking about her grandpa, and I underlined the phrase I wrote, "I don't know what I want." And I think that's important. You need to ask yourself all along your life story, what do I want today? What do I want? Is it a material thing? Is it something outside myself? Is it something I'd like to accomplish? Or is it something I'd like to achieve, perhaps?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that, again, those things that we want, like a lot of the kids nowadays, they want the latest iPhone. Mm-hmm. What that symbolizes, though, is they want to be part of a group. So all the kids are getting the iPhones, or their family members, and they have that need for community. And so those wants of those material things are actually connected to a deeper need.
Yes, and that's vitally important to emphasize, Michael. It's not about the phone. It's about, what does the phone represent? Does it represent status or a community, just like you shared, or to be part of a group, or to be accepted just as they are, right?
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what I'm trying to get. It's not just for teenagers; it's for all of us.
Yes.
I mean, as I said, I'm in my mid, going on late 60s, and I still have these needs, and I think that we're all trying to progress. And Maslow talks about there's this push-pull between wanting to stay with the familiar, but then wanting to grow and to advance. So I think that we experience that and struggle with that throughout life. And I think that we all have a calling too, and that it could be at almost any of those different stages that Maslow talks about. So.
Also, too, your book, Michael, is it has a lot of stories of teens and adults. I think the book is great for any ages. I would definitely say probably over the age of 15, it would be definitely a good book. It's also a book that you can give to teens when you can even just leave it around. It's not, oh, here, take this and read this. Just leave it around and they may pick it up and intuitively find what they need in it. Because and the next story, you have another story in here, and they say, wouldn't that be part of free speech? And I'll make them see things my way. I mean, we see this playing out in social media right now about everybody trying to get everybody to believe each other. And others are saying, I just want to speak and be able to be free, irregardless of the repercussions. So the idea is that how can we have responsible speech and responsible engagement? Perhaps that's where, teens are kind of like driving that fine line. They haven't quite figured that out yet, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And why I focused on teens for a majority of the book is, of course, that's the age where they question everything.
Yes.
And it's where they go from concrete thinking to abstract thinking, and where they start to wonder, why am I here? What am I supposed to accomplish? Things like that. And so it's really not a, here's what you should do and you'll be fine. It's more like, here is what possibly could be going on, and what do you want to do with it? So it's not invasive. So parents and kids, they could talk about the stories, and then hopefully that might let them open up to what's going on with them, both the parent and the child. So.
Yeah. I think that's so vitally important, though, to be able to have those conversations, to allow, I don't care what age you are, to be able to be free to speak what you feel inside your heart. Because really what you're talking about is what is hurting you, what do you feel you need or you're lost, and what would you like to feel, and usually that's to be cared for or loved. If we really drilled it all down, perhaps those are the things that we need to look at first and work our way up, instead of trying to be able to work the opposite way where, oh, well, I don't know what you want, let's start from the top kind of idea. Perhaps?
Oh, definitely. You just said it. It won't work the other way. You've got to attend to, again, loving yourself. Mm-hmm. And if you love yourself, then it's going to be easier to see the good in other people, and then they can also see that in you, and then you could hopefully be more open to sharing that between the two of you, and then allowing each other to speak your mind freely without judgment, and go down this journey of life and grow.
You know, but also, too, and I think this is really a hotbed. I call it a trigger kind of thing for kids, even teens. Even I'll tell you, sure as I'm sitting here, I'll be 70, I'm still encountering it even with adults these days. They say, you're lying again. You don't know how to tell the truth. And the answer is, whose truth is it? And who is feeling offended by it? That's what lying in truth is all about. And a lot of times, is because one person does not want to believe another because it offends them in some way, or it triggers them and they don't like it. So they will call it a lie. And others will say, this is my truth, not even knowing it, if it is or not. So really, don't you think the words truth and lying are very much hotbeds?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. It's a difference in perspective. There are very, very, very few, other than physical aspects, there's very few ultimate truths. I mean, the truth is we're all going to cease being here someday, but what happens in between, and I see that too, is we're becoming a society of tribes. And instead of there being one tribe of humanity, it's these smaller tribes. And as you said, one tribe is trying to make their truth the reality when both perspectives are correct. So.
Yeah. It's sort of like trying to make everybody follow a collective truth. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what the society is going to believe is truth, and you have to follow under there. And it's sort of like all of these red ants underneath the ground saying we're not sticking our head out because that's the wrong truth, you know? So it really causes a lot of chaos and angst and anger. Don't you think a lot of times when you encounter anyone and they are really just angry as all get out, sometimes it's just because they feel like they're like those ants under the ground. They just can't get it out, what they need.
Yeah. And you and I talked, before we started this, that people are afraid. Yes. They're afraid that they're going to not be in control, or that their belief system is wrong, or that they're not becoming what they believe society wants them to be. And I don't think that there is. I mean, there are guidelines or norms, but those norms change. The norms now are not the norms of the 1940s and 1950s or 60s when you and I were growing up.
Right. So. Yeah, I think that's so vitally important to understand, is about what is the normal that you kind of have to tag along with. Because just as you said, norms do change. We look back, even just 10 years ago, there were certain norms, and now they're totally different again. And I think also, too, the idea, let's talk about the word bullying. because bullying comes right along with the word anger and fear, because you want to feel protected inside yourself. You want to feel safe and secure. And I think bullying is when you feel like your sense of yourself is at risk, perhaps?
Oh, you nailed it on the head there. That is it. You're concerned just about what you just said, and so you become aggressive, and you want to protect that and shield yourself from having to entertain a different perspective, and maybe even accept that both perspectives have validity. So,
yeah, and that's a pretty hard place to be, because a lot of people don't know what to do. In other words, we as humans have not been given a book of this is how the world works and some tools to be able to experience it. And I think that's really, we've kind of been free-flying it, I think, for many decades. And now we're seeing the repercussions of that free-flying, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. And I hate to be redundant. I really do believe that if we can, by loving ourselves, it means that we attend to our mind, body, and soul, and we try to give that same respect to the other person.
Right.
And if we could do that, then again, maybe we'll become more accepting, and it'll be like instead of a narrow funnel, it'll be more broadened, and there'll be more acceptance.
Yeah. How about the idea of riches you write in your book? And I always think of riches as that which the world and the earth has heard your deep heart soul, and it knows what you need, and is going to find a way to get it to you. It could be a free lunch. It could be a coupon. It could be someone picked you up that you didn't expect. It could be a grade that you never thought you were going to get on your paper. It could be a hand-me-down of something else. It could be a hand-me-down of a dress or something that you wanted to wear for an event or whatever, and you look really pretty in it or something like that. I think the idea of riches, people think is monetary or something that's going to increase their obituary, so to speak. In other words, what is my legacy going to be? When in essence, riches really come from inside of you, and it's about gratitude and love, yes?
Oh, yeah. And in regards to that story about riches, the kid was involved in the community and giving of himself, and then he had an accident, and he became despondent and started drinking and thought that he was going to lose everything. And then in the end, the community around him came and gave him support and love and monetary gifts to help him continue to exist. And so, yeah, as the saying is riches come in many forms. And it's all of those forms that you said. I mean, my life is so rich in so many ways. And I am, you said it, I am grateful every day. I'm grateful for what I have. So.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the idea of our physical appearance, perhaps the places in which we live, perhaps what we carry on our back, so to speak. In other words, what is the judgment of others? Can you share how judgment might be something that it's a real barrier to being able to speak out or to feel like there's something else in the world that they could engage in?
Well, our judgments come from our backgrounds initially, and so whatever prejudices that our caregivers instilled in us, we carry that forward, and then again, it kind of shows what community do you belong to, and is that if you're not in this community, then you're wrong, and if you don't think like the group, then you're dysfunctional or aberrant, and you need to be disciplined or seek help, things like that.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, my upbringing, from being Mexican American, it comes from rural culture, and the rural culture traditionally believed, and my Hispanic culture for sure, believed that the group was more important than the individual.
Yes.
Whereas the Western European Protestant model was that individual is more important than group. So there's this push-pull in American society.
Right.
Do you look at yourself first and your group, or do you look at the overall community, and is it okay to help others who don't look like you, think like you, talk like you, or do you exclude them and let's get rid of them?
Well, you know what I think is really important, Michael, is that when you and I were younger, there were a lot of immigrants. I am Polish, Lithuanian, and Irish. My grandparents, they came over, okay? And the difference is that we lived in a community. I lived in Scranton, there was every single kind there. I called Scranton just a little bit west of Ellis Island. In other words, everybody stayed in New York, and if they didn't stay there, they came to Scranton. That was the next stop going west. And when you think about it, we had all types of people in our neighborhoods. It's just the way it was. You would go to someone's house for Shiva. You would go to somebody else's house to be able to have potato pancakes. You go to somebody else's house for, pierogies or whatever. In other words, everybody knew everybody's different things, but everybody helped each other. And that was the way it was then, because they knew the word survival. You could not survive by yourself. Everyone had to work together. The Italians might have had the food. The Polish might have gone to the mines. The Lithuanians, they might have been doing something else or whatever. So each one had their groups, and they all created the communities. However, fast forward to 2025, there's no religions anymore, hardly. The sense of community, there's no such thing as community. How many people know their next door neighbors? Also, too, the families have been split up, and they've been, family members or relatives are all across the countries now. Instead of when you and I grew up, all of my family and all the ancestors, they all lived within 2 miles of each other. I mean, that was the radius. They never left there for decades and decades. So I think the idea is that history is changing us as humans, and we're trying to find, in other words, these same stories keep coming up, because we kind of haven't learned what's the backstory to the story, and that would be unconditional love, caring for self and safety, a soft place to land. Instead, we're still worrying about the story of how we get there. Perhaps?
Oh, yeah, definitely. That is the focus nowadays. It's how can I get mine, and there's becoming this scarcity mentality.
Yeah.
Versus, I mean, when I was growing up, I mean, I was exposed to that, but I rejected that. I've always believed that, okay, if this pie is full, well, we have the resources and beliefs and integrity and the motivation to go out and make another pie. So there's enough there. We're just thinking that there's one pie, and if someone has X, Y, and Z, then that means that there's none for us.
Right.
And so let's cut out those other people and let me get mine.
Yeah. So. I'm a firm believer of giving back, just as I do about this radio show. You come to me, we do the show, we give back our energy, we give back in donations, we give back to others. And it's always a circle. And I cannot see life otherwise. I never have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I live very minimally. I have a very minimal life. I don't have very many needs, and everything that comes in usually goes back out. I can distinctly remember a gentleman had asked me, he was a neighbor, and he wasn't walking up the stairs one day, and I said, "You don't feel well, what's wrong? You're going to die on those stairs." And he came in and he told me his story, and I made him some herb stuff for it, and then all of a sudden, 2 or 3 weeks later, he was walking up and down the stairs fine, and he was so grateful. So then, you know, he would still come to get some, and then he would come to talk, so he came to be able to converse. But then he would start to bring me something to be thankful. Like at Christmas, he would give me a gift card or whatever, to like Target or Walmart or whatever. And then he started bringing me some candy, and I said, "Okay, you got to stop bringing me candy. You can't bring me candy anymore." So now he brings me lilies. When he goes to the grocery store, he buys me one lily, and he brings it every time. And then I take a picture of the lily, and then I make a gift card, and I give him the card so that he can give it to his wife when he wants to tell her something nice. It's all about how can we create love? How can we take the limitless amount of gratitude that's out there and create that giving back circle? Is not that the whole core of your book? It's the whole core of this conversation. And it truly is about the idea of what are we doing in this world other than that? That is perhaps what we should be doing. Yes?
Yeah, you nailed it. Thank you so much. I mean, that really is the whole focus of the book is to love, to give, to have that circle, to advance the whole of society. I mean, this world could go on forever if we just take care of it and take care of each other. Just like a ring. The ring has no beginning and no end. Yeah. And that's what I'm hoping to do as this book progresses, and hopefully I'll have some profitability, and then I'm going to look for organizations and people who are loving society, helping, giving back. That's what I want to do. So that was perfect. Thank you.
Yes, everything that comes in my house, and I remember, every time I used to make food, I love to cook, you know, but there's only me, so it's like, do I really need that big, huge pot of spaghetti sauce? And I'm not going to freeze it. So I would always put some out, you know, and I would say, hey, anybody walking past my door, hey, you hungry? I got some spaghetti sauce, you know. And I also, you know, when I cleaned out my closet, I had some extra dishes in a pot, and I put them in a box outside my front door, and it said free. Within 2 minutes, the box was gone. Someone needed it. So I think the idea is that don't judge what you're giving out. Don't judge what you're sharing. You have no idea what someone else may need. They may need a pot or a plate. They may need a pair of shoes. They may need something that you're giving out. You have no idea. You know, when you put things out to the dumpster, if you have a stack of clothes, they don't need to be in a big black plastic bag. Put them in a nice box, put it next to the dumpster, and say free. Someone will take them and use them. So I think the idea is, how can we be more resourceful as human beings to, it's almost inadvertently giving love to others and creating that circle, perhaps?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I think that if we do that, then inevitably those around us, our children, if I could say a quick story about that, my son would go with me sometimes, and he was already a teenager and such, and we would be at a grocery store, and I saw a lady and a couple of her kids, and she was struggling to see if she had enough money to pay for her groceries. Right. And I would just step up and say, how much is it? And she looked at me in disbelief, and I just paid the bill and walked away. Well, my son, years later, it was in the summer, and there was an ice cream truck, and there was a lady and I think it was 2 kids, and the lady was trying to explain, well, we only have enough money for one popsicle. And then my son saw this, stepped up, bought all of them ice cream and popsicles, and he related the story to me and how much love he felt.
Right.
So
I think that's so vitally important. My kids do the same. Even when my kids were little, if we drove through Burger King, we always bought extras, and I would have my kids get out of the car at like 5 years old, go take that bag over to that lady. I wouldn't be doing it. I would have them do it to feel that they were empowered, that they could do it. And I think that that's so vitally important. And I think our time today, Michael, truly what we've done is we've shared inspiration and tips on how to be able to be, I would say, a more expanded human. People will always want to say better. I don't think it's better. I think we all have the goodness inside of us. We just need to be able to find out how to express it, perhaps.
Oh, yeah. I agree. We just shared some of our, hopefully, wisdom about how to get more in touch with our authentic, loving self. I really do believe that at our core, we are good. We just need to have that accepted in ourselves and in others, and then let that perpetuate. But the Be Limitless, Be Love, it's self-perpetuating. So thank you so much, too, for, allowing me to be on your show. And I am truly grateful.
It was such a pleasure to have you, Michael, because I think it's so vitally important, the conversation. And by no means we are the most unjudgmental people probably in the world, but that's exactly what we wanted to share. Michael, can you share with the listeners how to find out more information about your work?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I have a website, belimitlessbelove.com. And then the book is for sale on Amazon.
Very good. Well, Michael, it was such a pleasure to have you with us. We thank you so much, and perhaps you'll come on another time, because I think there's always chaos in the society, so to speak. Maybe we just need to keep reminding them, right?
Yep, I agree. I would love to. Thank you so much for the future invitation, and hopefully I can reciprocate for you, too.
Thank you. If you'd like to find out more information about Michael Toledo, again, the book is Be Limitless, Be Love. Please do click on the link on the bottom of today's show page to go directly to his website for more information. And it is about being able to say, what do you feel inside your heart? Just let that chatter go out of your mind. Find that little, as we call it, stream of consciousness that says, ooh, I want to do this. Oh, I'd love to feel that. Ooh, I want to share this. Oh, can I help with that? Isn't that who we truly are? Everyone is all together. We are all healed already. No one is broken. No one is in conflict. You just have to listen to it from inside. Perhaps find a way to be able to open up that door. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Dr. Jeanette Gallagher, and until tomorrow, have a great day.
Today we discussed many life-changing concepts. Who do you turn to, and how do you know what is best when faced with a health crisis? Dr. Jeanette is a patient advocate. She listens to the patient, the doctors, and the family, clarifies the health issues and concerns, then helps the patient make the best choices going forward. If you would like help implementing change into your life and health, we can talk and see where you are stuck and how to improve the quality of your life. Check the link on the bottom of today's show page or visit drjeanettegallagher.com to schedule a phone appointment today.